Hello and welcome to the Maple Grove City Report. I'm Dave Kaiser from Northwest Community Television. In the next half hour, a look back at the December 16th council meeting and a look at what's new in Maple Grove. Stay with us. Maple Grove City Report coming up next. And thank you for joining us on the Maple Grove City Report. As you see, not Al Madsen today, but Ken Asheville joining us with all the expertise from engineering and public works. Welcome, Ken. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Dave.
As you see, we've got some maps in front of us here, and we're going to give you a close-up look at 610 as we've promised here in the past couple programs. But first, Ken, let's go over a little bit of what's new in Maple Grove, and then we'll get to that council agenda. What's new in the city these days?
Well, Dave, just as a quick update on the building activity within the city. This year, in 2013, so far, we've had 230 new single-family homes that took permits out for building, and that's compared to 216 last year. So it's a slight uptick, but it's indicative of what's happening out there in the marketplace. Right. And then, of course, in addition to those, we have 2 or 3 larger attached living projects going on, too. Right. So it's been a busy year.
Excellent.
Other items of interest, we've got a couple of new businesses that's opening up. Haskell's Wine and Liquor up by the Target retail store, which would be off of Maple Grove Parkway and Grove Drive. Then a new restaurant or two. Always have to have a few more of those.
Always the way it is, sure.
It's called Teresa's Mexican Restaurant. And that's located off of County Road 30, just east of Dunkirk. It was in the old Orient Buffet building.
Okay, right.
And then a new restaurant that came through the council last night, and I'll touch base on that a little bit later. But then we also have the city-owned gun range, which is now being called North Metro Range, and that is a new website up where people can refer to that website and get more information and schedule times. And there's also a new Facebook that they're using to get out there.
A lot of opportunity for the public to head in and get the guns sighted and do whatever you might need to do.
Absolutely.
Good.
Just a note on the farmers market. We have one more event, and that's tomorrow.
Right,
tomorrow being Thursday.
If you're watching us here middle of December, it's coming up fast, and then a little break for those folks.
Correct. And just a couple items of note, with cold weather, the skating rinks are now open throughout the city at the various parks. And then a couple of newsworthy type items. The new biking stadium has a need for a lot of concrete. Precast concrete, and a local business, the Hanson Concrete production plant here in Maple Grove, was awarded the bid to provide the precast concrete segments of that stadium. So that's great for them.
Congratulations to them. They'll be busy.
And then we were informed as well that Maple Grove was rated #1 in the nation for its activity related to National Night Out, and that's for cities of 50,000 to 100,000 in size.
Very good. So congratulations to the city. I know a lot of work goes into that effort.
That's correct. There's a lot of neighborhoods in the city that sponsor events for National Night Out, and it's a busy night for our police department, and particularly our mayor and city council.
You bet. A lot of parties to go to. So that's a little update of what's new in the city of Maple Grove at this point. Council meeting, not a long meeting, but some important items.
That's correct. They gave approval to a memory care facility that would be located or built right next door to the Arbor Lake Senior Living Facility. There was a small piece of land that was left over from the original project, and that will that will be the site of this additional building that would be dedicated solely for memory care.
And that will be attached to the existing building, is that my understanding?
That is not exactly right. The parking facilities will be shared.
Okay,
However, there will be underground parking for this particular facility to accommodate all the needs of staff
Sure. Okay.
and the occupants of the building. So, yes, the circulation of traffic and visitor parking will be shared, but it will be a separate building.
Okay, and separate ownership as well?
That I'm not sure of.
Okay,
There was a complicated ownership of the original building with some equity partners that have changed.
all right, we'll keep an eye on that piece of land.
And then Council also adopted the 2014 general fund budget, which is simply a follow-up action of the public hearing that they conducted
Right.
at the December 6th meeting. No changes in that budget from what you may have covered from the previous meeting. So we're all set for next year. And then they also set a public hearing coming up for a liquor license for the Mongo's Grill that is in the Fountains area. And there's a change in ownership there, which requires a change in the ownership of the liquor license.
Sure.
And then they got to the special items, which the first one was a donation from the Maple Grove Lions Club, a $1,500 donation that would go to the police department to assist them with those National Night Out activities.
Oh, very nice, okay.
So that was greatly received by the council. And then a couple guest speakers. Hennepin County Attorney Mike Freeman gave an update to the city council as to what's happening within his department in Hennepin County. And of course, that's fully encompassing of the county, but he spoke specifically of items in Maple Grove.
Okay.
And how the city of Maple Grove is impacted. And then the local district commissioner from Three Rivers Park District, Jennifer DeJournette, updated the council on activities being undertaken by Three Rivers Park and upcoming items that we can expect to see in coming months and years, for that matter. And then they held a couple public hearings for liquor license for Frank. It's for a Frank Maple LLC. Actually, they're doing business as the Rusty Taco.
Okay.
And that's a new taco place in town, down in the south side of the city. And then Patrick's Restaurant, that is in the shops at Arbor Lake.
Okay.
And that is pretty much the extent of it. Gave them some updates on roadway projects around the city, and Al gave the council an update on the HRA activities. And there was also a brief meeting of the HRA at the same time.
Okay.
And that was about it.
Very good. So there's your update of what's new in town, and also a little bit of a look back at that council meeting. Now, as promised, for the past couple weeks, we're going to talk 610 for a few minutes because it's been a while. Just give us a quick history snapshot here. How long has 610 been talked about in Maple Grove, and when were some of the last drawings of what this last leg might look like first drawn?
Well, when it was first talked about, I don't think too many of those folks are still around.
Right.
Because this project has been in the planning work since the 1960s. We've been working on the environmental documentation, analysis of the environmental impacts, and the first preliminary layout since 1991.
Okay, so some of these have been around for a little while, and
Yes.
the theory was that there might have been some updates as talk now has come that the funding seems to be coming through for some additional work
Yes.
that would give people another look back at some of the drawings. So let's go ahead to the first map, which is kind of the overview shot of what we've got here. So give us a little idea, Ken, of what we're looking at here, kind of the scope of the area that's covered.
The project that is funded with this particular round of funding, and just a quick note on that, our mayor and city council has worked diligently over the years to accentuate the importance of bringing this project to a conclusion. we were very fortunate to receive funding in the current Corridors of Commerce funding.
Right.
And now we're set to go with about a $150 million project that will not quite complete it. If you're looking at the graphic right now, those elements of the project that lie west of Interstate 94 will not be completed, with the exception of the 105th Avenue bypass connection.
Okay.
You'll note that the new Trunk Highway 610 alignment resides within the current 101st Avenue alignment.
Okay.
So that roadway, although not a significant corridor for the city today, it would play a significant element of our transportation system going into the future.
Okay.
So that has to be replaced, and that is basically being replaced upon the 105th Avenue alignment.
Okay. So as we're looking at this picture again, 94 is over on the left-hand side where you see some of the curved yellow lines, and then as you head to the right-hand side, you're seeing where the connection picks up from where 81 is leaving off at this point. So let's take a look now at the next, and we're kind of going to take you on a close-up look from the east to the west, if you will. So Ken, tell us again here, we're looking at 81 as it intersects with Elm Creek Boulevard and then Fernbrook as well. What are the key elements that are going to happen here?
Well, you'll note that in that particular location, County Road 81 is on either side of 610. Obviously, the westbound on the north, southbound on the, or eastbound on the south. 610 needs to then go up over not only the eastbound lanes of 81, but it must go over the railroad track. But the trick being is also has to go under the High Line wires. And
I remember those discussions years ago.
Yes, it's kind of like putting a needle through the or a thread through the needle. In this particular case, the needle is too small, and our eyesight isn't that good to thread it.
Right. Okay.
So we need to raise the power lines. So 3 of those power line towers would be raised to increase the height of the power lines.
Okay.
That would make enough room and enough clearance so that we can go up over 81 and also over the tracks. And then we skim along the north side of the high school property, actually the north side of the ball field.
Right.
And then as we come back into the area of Fernbrook, Fernbrook will be lowered, about 4 or 5 feet, and Trunk Highway 610 will go over the top.
Okay. But there will be no intersection at that point with Fernbrook and obviously 610.
That's correct. There will be no interchange. And as you're looking at this map, the yellow are the roadways and the orange would be bridges.
Okay, so where we see the 2 large orange pieces, that's what you're talking about, going over the top, the railroad track, but under the power lines.
Correct, and those are fairly complicated bridges, not only because of their length, but they're also on a curve, as you know.
When it gets to the west side of Fernbrook then, is that connecting or is that over the top of an existing road as it currently sits right now?
Yes.
It is.
Right.
And which street is that currently?
101st.
That is 101st at that point right there. Okay, let's take the next step then. We'll move a little bit further to the west for you. So you see Fernbrook on the far right-hand side. That is where we were just looking at, where 610 will go over the top of Fernbrook. Tell us about this next piece of the puzzle and what are some of the intricate points that will be taking place.
Well, there's a lot of lines on this particular graphic. You'll note that there is a new interchange construction with Maple Grove Parkway. So we have some ramp connections at that particular location. Maple Grove Parkway, as designed today, will go over Trunk Highway 610.
Okay.
So the freeway is actually lower than what the existing ground line is, more of a depressed section. You'll note just to the northeast of that interchange is where the existing yard site or yard waste site is.
Okay.
So with 101st going away, beginning in 2015, we're going to need to create a new access point for that particular operation.
And that will be off Maple Grove Parkway?
That would be off Maple Grove Parkway.
Okay.
And then you'll note that we are making a connection for the 105th Avenue bypass that I mentioned and frontage roads. And those particular roadways would replace not only what I mentioned as the 101st Avenue corridor,
Right.
but also perpetuate access to a number of properties that were getting their access from 101st Avenue. And then as you continue to the west, some of those lines will not be part of this project, and those would be, and it becomes a little bit more clear on the next graphic.
Okay, let's go ahead.
You'll note that Trunk Highway 610 has a free-flowing connection, basically a system-to-system connection. There's
Right.
no local access. And those would be flyover ramps if you're coming from the west and want to go eastbound. And then there's a long ramp that takes you west from 610. The portion of 105th Avenue, and you'll note again orange as a bridge, going over 94, that connection down to 101st Avenue on the west side. And that work basically completes the replacement of that corridor.
Sure.
Then the what's denoted there as proposed county road, and the loops and connections to 94 would be a future phase.
Okay.
Also, the ramp connection, if you see the sign 610, that road that comes west with the flyover bridge over the main connection there, that would be in the future as well.
Okay.
It's pretty significant project.
Right.
About $150 million to get this part done, including right-of-way, and it'll make a very good improvement to our transportation system. So the next steps would be to prepare this project for requests for proposals from design-build teams. We're going to build it under a design-build contract, which basically means that it's a fast-track process such that we'll actually be working on the design as it's being built. That is hopefully going to be completed in August of 14. Then there's a lag of time where contracts are negotiated with the successful bidder.
Okay.
And possibly work will start at the end of 14. There's some key components of the project that need to lead its way into the project, and some key components that need to lag. So depends if those first elements can be constructed essentially under inclement weather, such as winter in Minnesota. The funding is greatly appreciated, as I mentioned, through the corridors of commerce, and this project seems to have a full steam ahead.
Excellent. How many potential changes could there be to anything we saw on that map, or are you feeling pretty confident now, and other parties involved confident that that's pretty much what it's going to look like?
We are confident that that's what it's going to look like. Now, one of the purposes of a design-build contract is to allow the designers to do value engineering and perhaps change things somewhat, but that needs to receive city approval and MnDOT approval. And those would be minor items such as retaining walls and that kind of thing. Basically what you see as far as what these graphics were, that is the approved preliminary layout, and that will essentially end up in bricks and mortar.
Okay. Final question is, and again, if we can go back maybe to the big map of the whole picture, there are elements in this that are, again, much more than 610, obviously, as you're talking about it. So this is important, again, for the city, from the city transportation aspect. Does that throw different wrinkles into the process, or have different things have to be looked at if there are city roads that are involved with the 610 or the highway construction?
Well, certainly when you're bisecting a major part of the city by a freeway, it impacts our local transportation system. Obviously, we've been planning around that for quite some time. However, all those pieces of the puzzle are not built at this time, and quite frankly, many of them won't be built until development within those areas
Sure.
drive that need.
Makes sense.
So the pieces of this project, and there are numerous of them that will be city streets when we're all done. The city does stand to benefit much from this project, in addition to the access to the freeway system and the mobility for our residents. But it also sets the groundwork for what will happen in the future to our own transportation system.
Okay, very good. Well, we're glad you're here to give us the expert advice about what's been
Well, very
happening
good.
and a little look at the map, and we'll keep that here with us. So if Al has 610 comments, we'll pop the map up on him and
There
see
you
how
go.
he does with the map information. Ken, thank you very much
You're
for your
welcome.
time. Glad to have you with us. Let's leave you with the next council meeting date and contact information. Next one will be in 2014, January 6th, 7:30 at the Government Center. Website on the top of the page. If you have any questions or comments about the program, you can certainly give us a call at 533-1710. That is our viewer response line. We'd be happy to try to answer some of your questions here on the program. For Ken Ashfield, I'm Dave Kaiser. Thanks for joining us on the Maple Grove City Report.